Welcome to Cardano Over Coffee with your host Brian from Hero Pool, Jenny from the Blockchain, Epoch Pool, TCT, Blockjock, Darlington from Lido Nation, and the Always Chillin' Cook Time. Today we have Charles Machin, creator of Eternal Chaos and crafter of on-chain dynamic art. The team at Block Generation is building a generative art platform to give superpowers to code artists. Let's not waste any time. Grab your coffee and let's jump right in with our guest, Charles. For those of you that don't know, Charles' his sister used to be a co-host of this show, Kat. She was here. She, I think, learned about Cardano from her brother, right? So that's awesome. And she's an amazing artist, so make sure you check out her work also. But what Charles does with this on-chain platform, he's building an on-chain platform so that people will be able to go and create their own on-chain art. And I'm ready for him to blow Lido's mind. So please introduce yourself.
Hey, how are you? Oh, sorry.
No, you go. You get Charles.
Okay. So, hey, everybody. I'm Charles. I don't often speak up in public, but I'll see if I can bear it. It's a little late here, so I'm a bit tired. What have I been doing my entire life? So I've spent nearly my entire life creating games and visual effects. So I've worked in the games industry on a whole bunch of games. I worked on Warhammer Online. I was with PlayStation Home right from the start, and also spent a few years working with Oxford Medical Simulation, helping train doctors and nurses using a virtual reality platform. So we were developing that. And as soon as I've always been interested in generative art. It's always fascinated me. But there was no real medium to store it. And then I started to hear whispers of how it could be done with a blockchain. I found Cardano being the best one for it from my perspective. We set about building the tools that we'd need in order to make something that was fully on chain, fitted inside an NFT, and contained all libraries and things like that, and could just execute without any special websites or any special viewers, just as any other token would be. So we set on a path about 2 years ago to develop that. And throughout that, there's been a few collections that I've released that in effect demonstrate what these can be and how the blockchain can be a medium for these kinds of art pieces. So though they do contain a thumbnail to the actual to the art image, just for convenience, the real meat is the on-chain piece inside the token, and that though it's only up to about 14 or 15K, that'll generate up to 16,000 pixel by 16,000 pixel detailed images using procedural methods and techniques. We've been exploring that, having loads of fun. And about a year ago, we decided no one else has got these tools, and they hadn't emerged. Nobody else has emerged to put these tools so that everybody else can use them. And so basically that became our next mission, to create an online platform that allows an artist to come in to edit within our web editor an on-chain piece, to be able to write the JavaScript code that goes into that. Of course, the code has to be really small, so it has to be very tight and fundamental. But there's a lot of room for creativity and fun. JavaScript is a very powerful language, we've put the tools at the fingertips of the artists, we've started the process of setting up a community curating process that allows the really good art to rise to the top and get minted. And we are almost at the point where we can fully open the platform up to basically everybody. The alpha of our platform, the editor, is already live and running. So if you go to the blockgeneration.art website, you'll be able to find that.
So first, I got a question. You said you're tired. Let everybody, all the people know why you're tired, and I appreciate you making this show. So, you're in Australia, aren't you?
I'm tired.
You're on the other side of the world.
I am. I'm tired because I normally go to bed at like 10 o'clock and wake up at 6. But right now it's 1 a.m. So yeah, way outside my bedtime. I'm normally
Yeah, so I
snoozing.
appreciate you staying up, man, because I know that could be an issue.
You're welcome.
So this on-chain art, and you said there's only so much that you can put into it.
Mm-hmm.
Has that been a challenge on Cardano because it's only like 16 kilobytes or something like that?
For the first project that I created, which was Eternal Chaos, it was absolutely jam-packed. We barely fit everything that we needed into the actual token, and we were refining and refining. Things have got a lot better since then. We've made a whole load of key innovations, and so our on-chain library, which for anyone who's a generative artist out there, is like the equivalent of like P5JS, but with a much more limited tool set. It's limited to the more fundamental things. Is just 5 kilobytes. And so that leaves around about just over 10 kilobytes worth of space for highly compacted code. And our on-chain platform allows the code to be written in normal form and automatically compiles it and compresses it into a form that can actually fit entirely within the block, within the token.
That's interesting. I have no idea how you do that. Wouldn't even know where to begin.
Well, you can... sorry, go on.
No, you go. No, go for it. Sorry.
So if you looked at a collection like the first Diversion collection, because that's using the more modern way that we do things, you can actually read and look at the actual code. The code's actually there in plain sight within the token, so you can see and read it. It would take quite a tinkerer to fully understand it because it's compacted into a highly minimal form. Not a single character goes to waste because literally we have a limited number of characters. And so we have to put every single one of those characters to extremely good use.
Epoch, you want to ask him some technical things or something? This is like out of my job. I love his art. I own his first generative. I own some other pieces of his. And no, you will never buy them from me because they're mine. Screw you.
I thought you were going to gift me one of those for my birthday.
I would because we're technically married, so I kind of have to.
Well, I was supposed to get one too for my birthday. God, man.
Blackjack. No, you're not until you're 18.
Okay, I'll wait. 4 more years.
Yeah, exactly. You're perpetually 14. I'll give you 15. But anyway, Cardano Over Coffee jokes aside, just wanted to say thank you for joining us. Definitely appreciate the late night join. Could you talk just a little bit about the team that you have and who you're working with, and how many folks are kind of working on the technology, and how many folks are kind of working on maybe the marketing or trying to kind of expand your reach? Or is this a one-man show?
No, it's definitely not a one-man show. So originally, I started with a friend that I knew all the way back in college, and we learned programming and all sorts of things together. And so we started our journey actually in all of crypto, eventually realizing the possibilities. So that's Adam, my co-founder of Block Generation. And also we've got Hookman, who makes Cardano block clocks. So he joined our team about a year ago. And he's a fantastic web developer and on-chain artist himself. Then there's Dunk, who's here with us, who leads our marketing and helps keeps our forums alive and talks to everybody, makes sure that any problems get identified and found out, and also helps to promote us. And then the last person is Steve, who's in England, in Oxford, who is he's been a CEO of multiple games companies all the way back for the last 50 years, and I managed to convince him to help us to run the company. And so there's that's everybody: Steve, myself, Adam, Hookman, and DVNC Dunk.
Awesome. Great to hear, that you have some support. And if there's, if any of those folks are in the space, feel free to request speaker. We'd love to hear from the different team members and, hear how y'all communicate with each other. And it's always interesting to see the dynamics of a team. So it also sounds like you guys are kind of in different time zones. How do y'all kind of work together, or what is it like? Can you walk me through a day in the life of Charles?
It's really challenging actually. In order to maximize my developer time with Adam and Matt, I normally up at like just before 6 a.m. to try and start working at around about 6:30 a.m. And it normally takes me about an hour and a half before my brain's actually, sufficiently solidified into coding form.
I can tell you just right off. Sorry to interrupt, but I also start my day at 6, and I'm usually, having to chat with Hero by 6:05. And I can confirm that my brain is also not fully functioning at those times. So appreciate the passion that you're putting into this. But please continue.
Yeah, so we try and get as much developer time. Adam also has a full-time job, so we have to work around that as well. So we end up it's almost like an intersection of an intersection, and we just try and make as much use of the times where we can actually make things align. And yeah, we pretty much for a good part of the last year have been waking up, doing that, or I've been waking up and we've been building in the little pieces of infrastructure that is needed in order to facilitate a clean path to on-chain that includes art curation to make sure that the code is safe and decent, and the art quality is of the highest standard. And so we've been basically building all of these different pieces. It hasn't been fully turned on all in one go yet. The part that's currently live is the on-chain editor, and the next big release in our version 2 that we're planning on releasing early March will be the part of the system that allows the creation that's been created in our art editor to be submitted to us so that we can work with that artist through like an alpha phase of that particular art piece or collection to get it to the standards that we think is needed. And that includes a whole bunch of technical checks. And then we have the concept of reviewers, which are randomly selected members from our community that go in and in secret review the pieces. So I say in secret, they're not allowed to obviously release anything of what they see in the art pieces, because obviously we want to keep it as a nice surprise for whatever it is. And then for it to go into our minting stack that allows it to be vended to anyone who wants to mint one of those collections. And so we've been working on the front web end for that, the server back end that deals with the blockchain and the minting. So that's the bit that I've been focused a lot on. I mean, it's a lot of hard work, but it really is incredible technology, and we are living in an age of wonders with these kinds of things. So I mean, I feel incredibly fortunate to be in this position of being able to play with these toys like this. I mean, everybody is, because the blockchain's public, but it's a great thing.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I do think we're at a pretty amazing time in history when the tools in front of us can do so much more than what people could do, even. So, yeah, that's awesome to hear. How are y'all then, like, do you guys use Discord then to kind of organize and meet and video chat and all of that stuff? Or are you on Slack? I'm curious what what drives y'all forward.
Well, we tried Slack for a while, but then we realized we were using Slack, WhatsApp, and Discord, and then we kind of dropped all of them except for Discord. So we tend to use Discord, and then maybe we use Google Meet for doing screen sharing sessions and things like that. So when it comes to like online diagram making and things like that, because a lot of what we do has been fully spec'd out to try and diagram it, because it's so there's so many pieces, it's so complicated. We use what's it called? There's a Google diagram editor. I think it's diagrams.net, is it? And it's a fantastic collaborative diagram tool that we spend a lot of time on.
Oh, that's interesting. I'll have to take a look at that, because is it like a whiteboard, collaborative whiteboard?
It's like a whiteboard, only it's even more convenient than a whiteboard, because you can just like drop a cube in there, put some text in. You can easily just drag arrows off without clicking on interface buttons, because you just click off the edge of things to link things together. So if you want to make block diagrams of how systems interact or network traffic or management of processes. It's convenient.
Nice. Yeah, I think for that I've used Mural, but there's a ton of these sorts of things. Great to hear that Google has one. Okay, well, I appreciate kind of the insight into how you're, pulling this off, and how your kind of what your team looks like. It sounds like you're a pretty good size. Are there any plans to grow? Are you guys hiring? Are you at stable state?
Well, in order for us to grow, we need to really reach our next goal, which is to have a working platform, and to start generating. Because I mean, right now everybody who's working, including me, is working on the hope that we can make something of this platform. So it's not earned anything yet. So it doesn't have any funding. We did go for Catalyst funding, but we got like 100 squillion downvotes by some big players there. So we kind of were a bit. We didn't get what we needed in order to build that platform, but we weren't going to let anything like that stop us. We know we've got a good idea, and we're going to pursue it. We do have Duncan here if he wants to have a chat about things. Duncan, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, of course. Thanks for having us on, guys.
Hey, I
Hero.
pinned some stuff just so everybody knows. I pinned some of their work up top. Check it out.
Thanks, mate. Thanks for doing that. So I'm based in Australia as well. I've got a double whammy of a bit of jet lag coming back from Europe 2 days ago, but hopefully I can stay coherent. So I'm logged in currently using our official Twitter account, but I'm also on Twitter personally as DVNC_00 for my personal stuff. I've been in crypto since sort of the middle of 2017, first as like Bitcoin and ETH holder. And I basically bought Cardano the day it launched on Bittrex. I think it was around September, October 2017. And I've been a follower of Cardano since then, really. Regarding NFTs, I really only got interested in it after I saw an interview that Alexander from Unsigned Algos did around August 2021, I think, just after it minted out, unfortunately. But that interview got me hooked on the idea of on-chain art as sort of the first time I kind of like NFTs clicked for me. Like I thought, all right, there's something there. That interview was the first time I'd sort of heard that properly explained. And yeah, it immediately seemed like just a better use case for NFTs than anything else I'd seen to that point. So I was in the blockchain Discord and other on-chain art communities around that time. And when the team were looking for a community manager sort of early last year, I jumped at it. And I've been enjoying working with them ever since. So yeah, thanks for having us on. That's me. The main reason I think we wanted to come on the show is just to help make sure we are getting the word out about this platform. We're looking for artists, like code artists, anyone that knows JavaScript, or even if you've got some history with P5JS, that sort of stuff. Anyone listening, come and have a look at the platform.
Tell me a little bit about the platform. Like, what are artists? What are they going to be able to do?
Yeah, well, I'll have a crack, but Charles might be better positioned. But basically, you log in. It's a free account to log in and start playing with stuff. Charles has put a bunch of examples up there that are free to use, and like even his examples are just incredible stuff. Like I look at some of them and go, I'm already blown away just by the sort of free examples he's chucked up on there that anyone can tinker with and start getting an idea. So I just jumped in and started changing colors and changing the speed that things operate at, like just simple stuff. So I've done a bit of programming, certainly nowhere near anyone else's expertise, but I've been enjoying playing with it. Basically, you've got a code window. There's 4 different sections. You've got a couple of windows for your code. There's a cheat sheet that Charles and the guys have developed, which basically, if you want to draw a rectangle, you want to draw a circle, you can just copy the code and drop it into the code editor. They're formulas are super compact, so it doesn't, at first, the stuff you copy over doesn't look like what you might be used to writing, but it's because they've really minified the code. Like rather than type the whole thing, they've made some shortcuts, because obviously you're trying to save as much space as you can, like everywhere. Everything's about saving space so it fits on chain. The next panel over is like your properties and things like that. So you can tag stuff in your code so that you just sort of you can set a property for different colors. You go have green, blue, red background or whatever, and then in your properties you can just drop down and select those kind of thing. And on the far right, you've got a preview of the piece you're working on. It's really handy because all of those fields can be collapsed, so you can just be working on the code while you're looking at the preview with the two middle fields hidden. You can drag them all around. You can pop it up. You can refresh everything. You can save your stuff. You can save your drafts. You can grab an example and tinker with that and save that. So there's a link to it in one of those tweets that we shared. It's alpha.blockgeneration.art. And basically anyone can log in and start having a play.
Lido, go ahead, sir.
This is super cool. Mind officially blown. Let me see if I get this, if I understand the service here. So you come to the platform, you do art stuff, there's an output. You guys take that output and you turn it into JavaScript, into a very tiny piece of JavaScript that then goes on chain to programmatically recreate that artwork.
Almost. It's the part that goes on chain is the code. The output is almost like the end result of the algorithm. So the algorithm is completely on chain, and it's when it runs, it has an interface because it's compacted HTML, JavaScript, and within that interface you can change resolutions and things like that, and the output will gradually form into the final art piece, dependent on what kind of art piece it is. Some of the art pieces are like 60 frames per second refresh and are continuously moving, like the Prototype Cadence collection, if anyone's aware of that. Others are, the Eternal Chaos collection. Others are like Prototype Cadence, like the first version, where they're accumulative, where agents, a bit like particles, go about the screen drawing the form. And when it finally finishes, you get to see the full finished art piece. So it's algorithm directly to visuals, and the visuals are not stored anywhere except for a small thumbnail that we store on the token.
That makes sense.
I confess. Yeah.
I confess. Okay, that makes sense. Well, so that brings me to my next follow-up question. Depending on the artwork, can you talk about the breadth of like what types of artwork people can create? I'm not a media nerd, but I know there's like, there's like JPGs and PNGs and different files, and then there's all the 3D assets and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Like what types of mediums and artwork can people create through this platform?
They can only create one type, and that is an embedded HTML JavaScript, which is in effect a viewer specifically for that on-chain piece and the viewer itself also fits on-chain in that same token. So it's actually there is no image data there. It is just directly the code, but the code is in a form where it can run directly. So if you viewed it in pool.pm, you would see the actual on-chain piece, or if you viewed it in any of the viewers that can view on-chain.
So in the editor, though, can you import images or no? Or do you have to create it within that editor thing?
Oh no, you if you want to create, like, say, a line or like, say, a silhouette or a shape, you'd have to put the programming instructions in there to actually draw that shape. So I think if you can go back in time and you remember, or was it the turtle program on the old computer systems? I don't know if you ever saw that, where you could basically tell the turtle to move forward like 10 spaces, you know, tell it to move right. So it's more akin to that, only obviously a lot more advanced than a turtle.
Copper
Interesting.
seat safe. Lido, before you go, or copper seat safe or anybody, I pinned something up to the top that I need everybody to look at. There's a post from Hookman. Jesus, Charles, that video with the colors, like he did that in your platform.
Yep.
That's wild. Good. Like,
That is
sorry.
crazy. One last question on the art and what you're playing with. So I know with all the AI stuff that's come out about lately, with especially the ones around art, they're not storing the images, right? They're storing like mathematical representation of that image. I don't fully understand it, but they're not using image data to generate images. They're using like code and algorithms and mathematical stored pieces or whatever to generate images, right? So is that ever going to be on the roadmap of where you can start with something that you import and then do more stuff to it?
I don't think so. Not if I'm understanding you correctly. So the AI art forms where you can import a picture and then do things to it. Obviously, that's using a deep learning neural net that just also outputs an image. So you'd have the same problem as storing any JPEG on the blockchain. And the only way you can really do that is by, perhaps doing clever things using, extremely high JPEG compression and tidy up to.
Well, I
put
was
an
just
image on there.
dreaming to think once you go to math, instead of going back to image, you could go to the HTML and JavaScript stuff that you got going. But maybe that's crazy talk.
I think it is slightly crazy talk, but I do believe that. Sorry, but I do believe there's a lot of room for incredible procedural art of new kinds that even an AI would have trouble making. Of course, as soon as examples of that exist in image form, AIs will just take that as their inputs, learn from them, and then suddenly they'll be able to create it. But I see AI art as all of the history of all of the artists that have ever created things. It's basically able to create interesting conglomerations of those. And once somebody adds something new, then they suddenly have a new tool in their bag. So that's really about the past, whereas the generative algorithms can create entirely new forms and features that have never existed before. And so an AI could never do it.
What's up, Dean?
Yeah, I think this stuff is great. I think this really is something pretty much unique to Cardano, and it's complicated. If people aren't quite understanding what's going on, it takes a few times hearing what's going on to understand it. But I got a question for you, Charles. I've seen two different, basically, styles of on-chain art recently. One is what you do, which is programmatic art. It's in a little HTML container and it's stored on chain. And then I've started seeing other people convert PNGs, like 8-bit simple PNGs, to base 64, which people should look into if you want to learn about this. And does your program work for people who want to do that, or are you really focusing more on the programmatic art?
So we only do the programmatic art. The other ways of using on chain, like you mentioned, with storing small PNGs or highly optimized PNGs, it's really just about that. That's all just about getting an image to be small enough that you can base 64 encode it and stick it in a token. We don't do that. I mean, we could, but it's to me that doesn't seem. I mean, it is proper on chain, but it's not exciting. Whereas we store algorithms that as soon as they kick off, they're like tiny little like mass machines where 1,000, because it's a programming language, you can create 1,000 agents or you can create 1,000,000 agents, and those agents all live on the canvas and moving around doing certain kinds of drawing patterns, sometimes aware of each other, sometimes not, and using those kinds of techniques you can create things like I say, a million times more interesting than what you could potentially compress an image now to fit it on chain. We only really concentrate on the programmatic Yeah.
Excellent. So when we're kind of at the end of your time, and I know it's your bedtime, so I want to let you go. Can you kind of give us when you think the platform will be up for use and any last? Oh, Lido, go ahead. Go ahead. You can ask your question first, Lido.
Just who should be able to use this? Like anybody? Or do you need to know any sort of some skills already to be able to really create like what was posted on top?
I'd say anyone with an interest in, because I mean, there's a barrier to learning programming. You have to think in terms of programming and structure and scope. So anyone who's willing to face that kind of challenge, then I actually think learning to do on chain is a really good way of learning, because it forces. It's interesting how constraints force people to do new, interesting innovations. I mean, this is why I used to love the demo scene. I still love the demo scene. So that's like where you get like a crazy demo that might last for 10 minutes and somebody's managed to compress it into, like 16, not 16K, but maybe like just a few K. And I think those kinds of constraints are incredibly exciting for learning things. So yeah, I think anyone can have a go. We've made it quite accessible so that there's examples that people can learn from. Some of the examples are pretty simple. There's a few examples that are a bit more complicated and a few that use like mathematical algorithms in them. So we tried to aim it for people at different kinds of skill levels. And yeah, I mean, everybody who's learning programming, they're all on a journey. We're all on a journey, all learning to sort our brain out in programming structure form so that we can utilize it better. So I think on-chain art is a good place to learn, even if you're new.
Copper seat safe.
Yeah, super quick. Are you setting up a testnet version of this?
Yes. So part of our curation phase. So once an artist's created an art piece, they go to this alpha phase. Within that alpha phase, we can mint what we call an auth NFT that validates the collection on the testnet, and also multiple individual art pieces. We use the prodnet, which is basically just a mirror of the blockchain that we can directly mint to. So we can do minting and vending from that to make sure everything's perfect. And once it's through that, then we shift it over and we switch all of the modes to the main net, where it can actually be vended with real ADA and exist as NFTs on the main net. So yes.
Awesome. I think Viz had one more. Last question will be Viz, and then I'll let you wrap it up, Charles.
Hey, thanks a lot. Charles, I'm a huge fan. We've chatted offline. But a few things I think I would recommend for folks that aren't aware of fully on-chain art is, just as an example, check out Eternal Chaos, which was created by Charles, and look at the pool. Pick one of the pieces from Eternal Chaos. You can search on JPEG to find it, and click on the pool link. Open up the link and just watch the animation. It's mind-blowing that is stored as a super tiny code file, and it's generated in real time, basically for the entire life of Cardano's history. As long as it lasts, that code will always be there. There's no link to IPFS. So the traditional image that most PFEs are stored on IPFS, which is an external hosting server. But for Charles's art, the on-chain, all that is stored on the actual blockchain. So I think it's a difficult concept for people to understand, including myself. It took me a little time to understand it. But first step is just actually go to one of those fully on-chain pieces that Charles created and watch it. They're amazing. So Charles, I have one question for you, if that's okay. What are you most excited about in the next couple years? Assuming everything goes well and you launch and things are moving along. Like, what kind of things are you most excited about, and you envision artists to be able to, get to over time?
I guess for a portion of that time, it'll be getting the platform up and running. So I'm pretty excited about getting the platform up and running. But in my heart, I know I want to get back to the art, and I have like books filled with ideas of things that I want to explore, and all of them have been done. All of the ideas that I come up with are in a form that I know I could fit on chain, and it's because it's a completely. It's not completely new, but it's a pretty new arena that has whole loads of new possibilities. But the one thing, if I was going to say just one thing that I'm most excited about, and that is my sister, who Hero mentioned, is a space artist, an absolutely fantastic space artist who works in oil paints. We had a dream of creating a galaxy chandelier using the most accurate description of the Milky Way that we actually know. And in that journey, we've spoken to European Space Agency people, because Catherine's got contacts there. And so we've been in contact with the people who launched the Gaia satellite, who are actually collecting the most detailed information on the layout of our own galaxy, because we all think we've seen pictures of what the Milky Way looks like. Well, actually, we really haven't. It's we've seen approximations based on other galaxies that we've seen, and the picture of our own galaxy is only just forming. And so Catherine had this idea, and she wanted me to help her with it, and that is to create one of the world's largest, well, possibly the world's largest galaxy chandelier. So this thing would be 8 meters across. It would be generative. So it'll be created out of fragments. I want to turn those fragments into on-chain NFT pieces, potentially even to fund it. And yeah, so this will be a floating galaxy chandelier, 3D printed in physical form, but with each fragment being an NFT. So that's like the next big thing that me and Kat want to do, and I would love to get our art platform up to the point where it can handle those kinds of ideas. And of course, it's got to be a pretty awesome, streamlined beast in order to do that. So yeah, I think that's what I'm most excited about.
Thanks, Charles.
Thanks,
Sounds awesome.
Appreciate you. Charles, anything you want to wrap up with? And please, next time you talk to your sister, tell her all of us have said hi and we miss her. I will. She loves you guys. So no, just thank you very much for letting us speak. It's been fun. I always get nervous for these kinds of things, but you guys have made it a nice place to be. So yeah, just keep doing what you're doing. Love you guys. You keep doing what you're doing, and everybody, please make sure that you check out Charles's work. Duck, anything you want? Are you sleeping? Are you alive, Duck?
I'm still here, man. I'm still here.
Anything you want to spit out before I let you go?
Look, not really. I think we've covered it all pretty well. The only thing I'd like to add, which you don't realize a lot of the time as well, but all of Charles's work is a little bit interactive. And if you click on, like what Viz was saying, if you're looking at a Eternal Chaos through JPEG Store or whatever, go to Pool PM, you can watch it play, and then you can actually click on the NFT. It'll show you a certificate on the back, which has got Charles's signature on it, which is all, again, fully on chain. But it shows you different resolution or output resolutions, which you can then download a copy of. And we attended the Brisbane Cardano Summit, and we had a couple of massive, they were like 1.22 meters by 1.22 meters, full high def kind of canvas printouts of Charles's work that we displayed at the Brisbane Cardano Summit.
Excellent. And I'm a fan. And I probably will be. I think what you're doing on the blockchain is always stored on a blockchain is revolutionary for art, right? We talk about JPEGs, and a lot of it is PFPs and speculation, but I have a true love for on-chain art, so I appreciate what you're building.
We do too, and we think Cardano is the best place for it right now. And not only that, it's the perfect medium for this type of work. So it's this perfect combination of a whole lot of things. And to have Charles here in Cardano doing his work is pretty cool. Really cool.
Yeah, Absolutely. And Charles, again, thanks for coming. And you said about being nervous. You definitely did a lot better this time than your first time. So, and it's even later. So good job, man.
Yeah, maybe I need to wait till I'm half asleep and I'm too tired to be nervous.
Well, go to bed, my friend. Thanks again for coming. And everybody,
Yeah, thanks very much.
thank you. Appreciate you. Stop back again sometime. Our second guest canceled on us due to some unforeseen reasons. They are rescheduling for next week. So if you are here to learn about the online streaming platform, I think they have something coming up with MMaker like tomorrow or something, or maybe even later today. So you can catch it there. But they're signing up for next week, or the week after, whenever we have an open spot. With that being said, Epoch, middle of the show. Before I start yelling about banter, anything you want to tell people? He can't find his phone. His daughters have it, and now it's hidden. So, nope. Bye, Epoch. Lido, anything you want to say?
He might be covered in beanies as well, so there's that.
Lido, you want to do the thing?
The other thing of the Lido thing, of both things.
Do both.
So, people, welcome to Cardano. If you're new here, you have picked a great blockchain and a great community to be a part of. If you have ADA and it is not in your own wallet, meaning you do not hold the 12 or 15 words seed phrase to that ADA, you might want to reconsider. Take that ADA out of wherever you have it and put it into your own wallet, into your own custody. So like Konami or Eternal, Daedalus. And what that does, it keeps your ADA safe and it takes it out of the hands of banks. While you have your ADA in your own wallet, you can stake it. It is not locked. You can spend it whenever. But when you stake your ADA, you contribute to Cardano security. And you are rewarded for that. You get paid every 5 days, and that's compounded, right? So you should do that. Also, if you have your ADA in your own wallet, you can participate in all the fun apps and dApps and DeFi and stuff like that. So do that. Wednesday was the last Catalyst Town Hall. The next one is next Wednesday. For the foreseeable future, Town halls will be happening every Wednesday going forward. What is Project Catalyst, you ask? Well, hit up projectcatalyst.io where you can find all the details about what Project Catalyst is, how you can participate, what some of the past participation looked like, stuff like that. There's also the link on there to the Zoom channel. And if you scroll to the bottom, you can subscribe to the emails so you can just get the different updates and happening in your inbox. Check that out. My name is Darlington, your favorite co-dreamer at Lido Nation. LidoNation.com provides blockchain education in plain English, Kiswahili, and Espanol. We also have other tools on there. We have a Catalyst Explorer if you are a Catalyst degen. We've got every Epoch quizzes where you answer a question, you earn some native token. Check it out. There's a giant menu that has all the stuff Lido Nation has to offer. Back to you, Hero Pool, who I called yesterday while I was trying to get pizza at Costco and trying to find a phone number that I
was wondering where you were at when you called
3 weeks ago.
I looked down, my phone says Lido. Like, why is it calling me? I hope everything's okay. It's your day off, so I didn't expect that, you know what I mean?
Right.
Thanks for listening to Cardano Over Coffee, and please remember to like, subscribe, and hit the little bell for notifications. That way you don't miss any content. Join us live on Twitter, Monday through Friday, 2:30 p.m. UTC, 9:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time.